This is The Party with Serene
and Pearl.
Get it right, Poddy.
What's up, friends? It's the Trim Healthy Podcast, and welcome to the new Pod Bin. What are we calling this?
Pod bin?
No, not bin. Pod den? No, I like... Its actual real name is Studio B. Because Barrett, Studio Barrett.
It's still a barn on the outside, but there's no cows in this one like there was in our last one.
But it's like the Trim Healthy Cubicle.
Yeah.
It's very modern.
It's very nice. Hey, before we jump in... No, you go, Pro. You want to talk about the
I was just going
potty?
to say a nod to the barn. It's a real barn.
Oh, you mean the building itself?
Well, underneath this is an actual proper studio wall that's all been like sound done.
Yeah.
But on top of it is barn as a nod to our history, Dan.
Yeah. Are you going to make music in here?
Sorry, are we talking?
Yeah, are we boring you, Serene?
No.
Are you ready to leave 1 minute
No, I
in?
got up to pee last night and couldn't go back to sleep.
We don't need to hear it.
No, I mean, this is the facts of life. Dan, many women listening are getting up at night and peeing.
Are you on the part of your cycle where you're not taking progesterone?
I'm on the part that I'm weaning down. So I'm on the low.
So a lot of night pee.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of it?
No, what it is it's been the marathon of getting this wisdom book audioed.
Yeah.
And I drink coffee too late.
Tell us about your hormones. No, I'm...
I'd love to ask the question.
I know you would. Hey, before though, I found a solution to something that has kind of crippled me every year when it comes to eating around the holidays, and I wanted to share it here.
Crippled in a good way or a...
I was crippled in a bad way.
But this potty's coming out when? First a year or something? So
No, it's coming out.
Oh, this potty's coming out in 2 weeks. It'll be perfect.
It's as if I know things.
Help everybody, Dan. Right now, I'm going to sit at your feet.
Okay. So like when it's summertime and the weather is hot and you're feeling that sweat, if you do a push-up, you're finding a swimming pool or a creek.
Yeah, creek.
If you're from out here, and you're all about your goals. For some reason, summer feels like goal season. It feels easier for me. But when my son comes home from college for Thanksgiving, I lose my mind when I walk through the grocery store. And you might say, yeah, like that rule, don't bring junk into the house. My body goes into autopilot. I'm in Kroger, and I start putting things in my cart.
Are you thinking like you need to feed the teenager?
No.
License time to enjoy.
This is what I'm saying. It's so deep and psychological. This is what I realized. It's for you. It might be. I'm not putting excuse me, little light. I'm not putting the junk in my cart. For me, my brain leaves my body, and my body begins to put things in the cart.
Yeah.
And there's no thought whatsoever. And I can't resist. I'm not thinking at all. What are my health goals?
Okay.
I actually relate.
You relate to this?
No, yes, but not with food. I can't walk across any like big swing bridge really, really high up, or any like the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge. Has anyone been there as a tourist? And you look over this like 500 feet drop.
Yeah.
I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah,
where I relate.
Go ahead, but you take your time.
It's because I'm scared that even though I have no suicidal tendencies and I do not want to jump over, yes. I'm scared
that
my muscles will just go rogue on me, and just because they can,
you have to.
A leg can pop it over a fence.
You must jump.
I could do a cartwheel over. I'm scared of my rogue body.
It's so wild, the rogue body.
It's such an odd feeling because I want to protect myself because the me inside of me is sane and
you're a mother.
And I
you
wouldn't
have children.
do that.
Yeah.
My body doesn't. It could rebel against me.
It wants to do a wild adventure.
Yes.
So tell me how you've gotten through this thing. So
there's only one way through,
want
people.
To know
there's only one way through. Because you're not. This is what I realized. I'm not going through the holidays undeserted. I'm not doing it.
Without the treats.
Without the treats. It's never going to happen.
What's your way?
The only way forward. And it sounds like a big fat promo for you. And it may be. But it's the only way.
All ears.
It's the only way. You have to make making trim healthy desserts a part of your holiday tradition. Yeah. You have to make stevia sweetened treats and then bring my daughters in and we're going to roll out cookies and stuff and like get the cookbook out.
You're gonna use gentle sweet though, eh?
I don't know.
That's what he means.
That's what he means.
Whatever's in the
He
recipe.
means
Not a
he
baker,
means
but yeah.
blood sugar friendly sweeteners rather than the sugar. But does that stop you from going to Kroger and going?
That's the only way it stops it.
Oh, it does.
Because you know tonight we've already got our thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't just sweep the house clean. You know, you gotta fill it with
It's
something.
filling. It's rather than saying I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That never works.
If
The
you've got
the
nothing
should,
but tuna and greens and egg whites and broccoli,
You're gonna get Danish butter cookies.
yeah, you're just gonna go out
so
and go rogue,
and this is really what Trim Healthy Mum is based on, rather than you can't have that. You know, don't do that. No, it's hey, have this instead.
Well, what's your
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
holiday treat then?
But can we not do that because we got to get on to selling our jolly book?
Okay.
I
Nate's
do want to
sitting
talk
here like
about
this.
the
I
new
work
book.
for the company.
Hey, this is my first time seeing this new book. How long has it? Let's get it.
Actually, it's a little Mexican gas.
It's not. I can reproduce it.
Cooking some tacos.
It's got to be
before you
quiet.
go.
Proof. Now, this. How long has this, people? Check it. How long has this existed as a book?
You mean
As this format
Oh.
book? Because I've heard about it for the
the one
longest
you're
time.
holding in
It's
your
the
hand?
only
It's
copy
one.
so far. Yeah.
This is
so
one
it's
copy.
being printed as we speak. By the time this goes to launch in 2 weeks, they'll still be printed and on their way. But the audiobook is about ready and the digital version is about ready.
So you, in your voice, voiced all of this Shakespeare level quantity.
yeah.
And more, because
Of
we kind of did
words.
a behind the scenes audiobook where we read the book and we also went a bit potty.
But it was more disciplined potty. Like, you know how we talk over one another here?
There is no talking over.
We were
Oh, in the audiobook.
Yeah, we were like, okay, what
But
do
we went off
people
script a lot.
What do people love about us, right? They
Yeah.
love that we can be free spirit and bring more info on the cusp and be real about it. What do people hate about us? That same thing, but we talk over one another and we go too far down to rabbit trails.
Yep.
So we decided to kind of split that difference and just get the love and not too much of the hate. There'll be some hate, but mostly love, we hope.
Well, this is one of those books that like you have to die before it really gets appreciated, just because of the size. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think we're going to get honor until our great granddaughters.
yeah. Wasn't Shakespeare like penniless?
Was your mother Pearl and Serene? You know, that's when it will hit.
But I tell you, it is 1,000 pages, but we were a bit smarter this time.
Great
than-
great grandmother. I
the-
mean, it's like on the timeline.
You know, then our first book, we did a big book, not that big, but we didn't have any bullets. It was just all rambling. This book, we've been more concise because if you don't want to read that chapter that's so nerdy and so geeky, go to the bullets and we'll break it down for you.
This is 1,000 blinking pages.
Yeah.
I wrote like a 40-page book and it about took my life.
yeah.
I really thought I actually did have a mental breakdown during the process.
We've had a few.
Yeah,
we
it was like,
almost did. Pearl and I almost did.
and you're still.
It wasn't until we got to the recipe part. Now the recipes aren't in there because then it would be 1,000 plus 100 pages.
yeah.
So we
No,
put
not
it on a
more than 100, yeah.
more than 100 recipes. So we put it on a on our membership site.
Yeah,
We're going to put it
PDF.
up.
No, it's going to be a PDF people get
What
for
do
free.
I know? They get for free a PDF.
I love
but
the front cover.
I was telling today on the live that we did a live today, and
Yeah.
when we got to the recipe part of that book,
Facebook Live.
Pearl and I almost got divorced.
Do you guys?
But we're not going to talk
almost-
about that. We're not going to go there, but we
Yeah,
did.
it's too much. All I'm
Yeah,
just going to
yeah.
say is the reason it got so long, people, is not because we just kept saying stuff we didn't need to, but this is addressing the biggest part of a woman's life. And women are living longer in bodies without hormones than with them. I mean, just because the healthcare system, kind of keeps us alive, it doesn't necessarily mean we're thriving. And everything we've gone through and learned, and we have been given some fantastic answers. Like Serena and I are sitting here thriving at this time, and we don't want to leave a woman behind. And so all these little things that we remember, but some of them have just got to know that. And like, but you're saying something in your head, like, but Pearl, we're not going to tell them that. I'm like, yeah, we're going to tell them that, and then I want to tweak that, and then that's why it's 1,000 pages, because there's something in there.
There is every little tidbit and every solid piece of information too. It's all in there.
And specifically, so when we say Trim Healthy Wisdom, a journey of hormone harmony and lasting wellness, this is written for women over 35.
Yeah.
Yes. Now it's how to rock your 40 and beyond and like really age fantastically with grace and glow and just really enjoy the whole passage.
When you say, yeah.
But I want to let you speak, but I do want to say and answer your question to the 35. Boy, I wish I knew it at 35.
Or 30.
Oh, yeah, at 30, 29.
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't have to play catch up because it's harder to do some of the steps in this book when you're starting after
Doable,
menopause.
though.
Yeah, it's totally doable and there's so much hope, but you don't even have to climb the hill when you're at 29 because you can put these habits in process and you never let anything drop. Like, you know, you're not dropping any of the balls that are going to make you really successful in the season.
Well, pardon the ignorant man in the room, but when I, like in the 90s, you know, I remember, you know, people would chauvinistically joke like, oh yeah, she's being hormonal.
Yeah.
Watch out for that hormonal woman, or she's on a hormonal rage, right? So that was like my male experience of when the word hormone was mentioned until I sat in this podcast and heard you talking about hormones. And so I have to ask, like,
Guess what?
what?
When you said hormonal rage, that
Yeah.
would be when she was in the part of her cycle where they drop and they plummet. So
Okay.
when you're in
I
a
was gonna
hormonal
say
rage,
that.
you're
You
in a
don't
rage
have
'cause
enough.
you don't have enough. Yeah.
Okay, so
And that's why menopausal women get angry. They don't have enough.
so for the longest time, you know, hormone optimization, I don't think was a thing. I think women just kind of fell apart back in the day.
They had put their big girl panties on and
just-
that's what I did. I went through menopause for like 3 years and I'm just like, I'm going to tough it out.
Yeah.
And it was hard. And yes, no matter what people say, we do fall apart. However, some people, this book is not just about optimizing hormones. Like there's how to eat, how to move, how to all that. But a
And how
large
to
part of it
address
is
when you're not going
yeah,
to.
hormones, because some people can't. Some people won't. Just their mindset, that's fine. We're not forcing anyone to optimize their hormones in here. We're telling them how to do it if they want to. But if not, what you have to be really vigilant about if you're not going to. Because some things do start falling apart without hormones. If you think to yourself, I'm not going to, or I can't optimize hormones, okay, great. Be diligent about this piece right here. You're going to have to eat these foods right here. You're going to have to move in this way right here. And then you're going to be okay.
Okay, so from
Well, you'll be
what?
better than what you would be
Yeah.
before.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you know,
Well,
I
'cause,
don't want
okay.
to give them. I don't want to give them hope. They no hope. They're going to be.
No.
They're going to be great if that's their decision.
So
There is a greater,
Yeah.
but they will be great.
not just hormone optimization, you're going into food, you're going into exercise.
We're going into the mind. We're going into
Relationships?
supplements. We're
Yeah,
going into,
relationships. But can I just say
big
something?
time.
I think the reason we wrote this book, well, the way I started off this book, and then Serene joined me, thankfully, because she brought so much to it, was I experienced when I went through my own hormonal mayhem, and it's just like got hit by the perimenopause and the menopause bus. My metabolism took a real dive. And even though I'm like, you know, Queen Trim Healthy Mama and the founder, I was struggling. The things that I'd always done weren't working for me anymore. And then I was just like trying to find, where is my metabolism? You know, my blood sugars, suddenly my A1C went up. Suddenly all these markers in my body were changing, and I hadn't changed one thing with my diet. It was still really, really good. All these things kept changing in my body. And then I kept looking, well, what is out there for me? How can I fix this? You know, and what was out there for me was, okay, start fasting. Because your metabolism shot, start fasting because that's the only way to, you know, to lose weight. I did a form of that, a very mild form. My body didn't gel with it, and I just got skinny fatter. And then, you know, what are the other answers for a woman out there? Well, you know, go carnivore, go keto, wear a continuous blood glucose monitor and analyze everything you put in your mouth. These are the answers that women are facing.
So they're already in a really tough spot, and we're telling them to just get more miserable, basically. And it doesn't even help. That's the
Well,
thing.
it
At
does.
first-
It does help the
Yeah.
scale, but it doesn't help the underneath, where we women, when we lose our hormones, our cortisol raises. Why? because estrogen's our stress busting hormone.
But I want to say though, and I really need to crisp up the point. You said it does help the scale. True. But it doesn't mean that's helped fat loss.
No, exactly.
You may lose weight, but it's probably mostly muscle.
Yeah.
And you're probably, because you've got less muscle now and more fat, you're a skinny fat, you're going to end up being a slower burner and your metabolism will have been, turned downward. And so it's not a help.
Yeah.
It helps the scale temporarily and not with fat.
And women are told, you got to cut your carbs now. You're in menopause. You got to cut your carbs. And it's the absolute worst thing a woman can do. She needs her healthy carbs because her estradiol's out
and
the
her
door.
Thyroid. She's in thyroid pause when she enters menopause. She's in thyroid pause.
And those carbs raise serotonin and they
help
shut
with
down
T3.
cortisol. So yeah, this whole book is going against counterculture and saying, no. Hold on, guys. You're all being led down this direction that leads you to be wrecked on the side of the road and in the gutter. Here's what you really, really need to do. And here's what works.
It's fun too, because the things we're suggesting are joyful.
Yeah.
Are joyful options. They're not miserable, like having to be the only one in the room starving while everybody else gets to eat.
Do you actually give like how to exercise?
Oh yes, baby.
So you're getting real thorough.
It's very practical and detailed.
Do you want to read the 7? You want to read the 7? It's actually 7 books in one. And the reason why so many of our, business employees were like, you should separate it. You could have 7 books. You won't have to work for 7 years. A book a year, baby. But we didn't want to do that because we're like, what if somebody misses one of them? Each piece is so important and they interplay together. And we wanted you to just have it all. Have all the wisdom in one book so that you don't have missing pieces to the puzzle and you have the answers that you need. Because everyone may have a little area that needs help more than another. So we wanted all the pieces in
as
there.
I read the table of contents, I think about how a big book could be intimidating. Somebody might say, well, I'm not going to read a big book.
I think
but you've broken it down here like into parts. For example, part 2, it's only like 20 pages apart. Wisdom is eating. Wisdom is protein strong. Wisdom is carb honoring. Wisdom is sour. Wisdom is methylating. Like, I remember you talking about all these words on the podcast. And so, I feel like, I just feel like it's edible.
Yeah,
if you will.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah. Yeah, like I could get my little ADHD mind around.
You know what? You could
It's a
read
big
that book
book,
in an hour if you wanted to by just going to the bullets and the simple takeaways of every chapter. But if in 2 months' time you're like, okay, but I really need to know the why I'm doing this,
I want to see the studies.
then you could sit down for another half an hour and gain a little bit more depth.
Yeah.
And then maybe in 6 months, you're like, oh man, I'm really hitting a plateau with my exercise. I wonder actually some of the detailed things they talked about, outside the bullets for the exercise, and you can go in and just peel another layer away. So you don't actually have to, well, I'm shooting myself in the foot because I would love it if they read it in consequential order like that. But you don't have to. If you're not a reader and this is scary and you're like, I'm not going to buy it just because of the size, you don't have to read it like all at once, like a big fat novel, like a Charles Dickens or something.
Yeah, but you're going to want to, flat butt syndrome, big time muscle wasting. Yeah, I want to know about that, so it's like, I could see if we were talking about, dictionary memorization, but I mean, it's stuff that people that follow this podcast, follow the Trim Healthy Mama eating way, it's stuff they want to know.
We feel like this book, and the reason it is kind of so long, is we're answering all the questions that have come in. We get thousands of questions and they're all relevant and they're all what women are going through. And I think women in these seasons, they're so confused. And that's why we called it wisdom. Because there's so much wisdom of man out there, and so much of it conflicts and confuses. And if I was confused, I imagine so many more women are. And so we base it all on, cutting edge science, but not just that, because you can't just do that. You have to be grounded in ancient wisdom, which is the ancient wisdom from the scriptures that we've pulled it through. And even though it's not like a Christian book, it is grounded in the truth of just that reliable ancient wisdom.
So this is the handbook for pre, during, and post menopausal women.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre, peri, and post.
Like it's a proper, like you've not written a little ditty to try to get to the New York Times list. You've written like
I don't think this
complete manual.
I don't think New York Times going to get
You know
this.
what I mean? They like their book, like to get there, you need to be about here.
It might be all flash and wonderful, and people might pick up their menopause guide at the airport, and it's a hot pink cover, and and it's all that will be the New York Times bestseller. But this here is where you're going to find it all.
Yeah.
And and we've told women, how do you, are you pre, are you peri, are you post? Here's how you know. Are you experiencing this? This is what you are. Now this is what you have to do. And guess what? It's going to work. I'm so kind of excited and tingly, even though I'm tired after writing this book and doing the audio. I have this something in me, like when we first wrote our Trim Healthy Mama book, we had no clue what would happen. Like, we didn't know. We just thought we'd give away a few copies. But yet I'd wake up in the middle of the night and have this little excitement in me. Like, what if these women got hold of this? What would happen? And I'm experiencing the same thing. Like, oh my goodness.
And I have that same, I have the desire for it to get into the hands of the woman out there, because it's just, they are really, really desperate, and there's a lot of fear. And that's what I used to have before I got this information first from Pearl, because I was just having my babies and happy and pre and just wanting to research about food and exercise and movement, until I got into peri. I didn't even know I was, and I got slapped with like 4 consecutive really traumatic miscarriages in a row like that. And I'm like, must be my hormones, they mustn't be working right anymore. And I went to Pearl's feet, and I was just so like, tell me everything you know. And it was such an exciting subject, and as there was so much hope in the subject of hormones, so I got hooked too. So that's how I kind of got on board. But before that, I used to look at the nearing the 50 mark and then beyond as like, oh my goodness, that's not really an exciting part of life. I'm really dreading that. There was a lot of dread going into that, because you see, your grandmother, your great grandmother, like the people that have gone before you, the women have gone before you, and it was really like deterioration, just slow rotting, slowly getting more feeble and more feeble. And that was, as somebody who loves to build strength, I was like, that's not the road I want to go. But I knew I had to go down that road, because you can't embalm the age you're in. So it's really exciting, because now I can smile at the future, and that's what I'm excited about. I want women again at this age where they feel like, I suppose I'm kind of getting over the hill now. No, you're about to embark on the most epic journey of your life, and there is so much hope. There's so much strength ahead for you, and that's what I want to get in the hands.
So rumor has it, I made it into the book.
Yeah, Danny, you're
3
there.
times.
I think we mentioned you 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Can we go there?
I mean, if you were
What are we talking about?
if you were in the digital copy, you could type Danny, see where it comes.
I'm surprised I didn't get a word in on the audio, but what chapter am I on?
I don't know. You're just in there.
I'm just in there?
I think you're in the first chapter. It might be the first or second. I think it's the second chapter, which is stronger versus lighter.
Did we talk about Medium Dan?
By
the
we
way,
didn't talk about Medium Dan. We
Medium
talk
Dan's
about
becoming Big Dan. I noticed he gained weight when he walked in.
Yeah, I've been eating my food.
Yeah.
You know what solves it all? Working out.
yeah.
The complete solution. I notice clearly the days I work out, I am ravenously hungry. Protein isn't like, oh, I gotta get through this chicken, this salted chicken. Right now, it's just like meat.
Well, your muscles are telling you, and that's been my husband too.
It opens the stomach.
Well, you see, lifting weights is
Charlie Straight Pants works out now.
Yeah, my husband
Okay.
worked.
He's probably
30 years in, and my
got a good
husband
frame.
decided on his own to work out.
She's been asking
He
him
works
for
out
30
with
years.
with his son.
30
so.
years.
Nagging didn't work.
This is woman witchcraft.
Yeah.
He decided on his own
He decided on
that's it.
his own.
through subversion.
No,
Through subtly.
No, it's when
through
she
the
finally
years.
stopped asking him.
when I finally stopped telling him.
Oh
And
yeah,
his
because you know
son
why
told
that
him.
works? Because when we feel cast away,
Yeah.
we feel like the woman is no longer anchoring us to the ship, and we're afloat.
I don't
No,
know.
he finally felt like he didn't have to obey Mama.
My
Yeah.
wife could just.
I
beg
was
on
no
me.
longer his mom. I
No,
was
my
like his
wife begs on me,
girlfriend.
and then
Yeah.
finally, when she's like, you do what you want. I'm like, I want to do what you want.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't want to be
You
abandoned.
do what you want.
It's abandonment.
I want to do what you want.
Tap into his abandonment. And just, you go do what you want. I'll be over here. Watch him crawl back.
Anyway, but what were we saying? Oh, I want to talk about this working out thing because, listen, a large part of this book is why we have a whole new look at exercise. We look at it in a different way. And it's not like boot camp. It's not like overdoing it.
No,
it's actually gentle, but it brings a whole new perspective. You can't look at exercise the same way. It does something different for women because we start losing muscle. We've said that on this potty after 30 so many times. But we go into the why in this book. And it's all to do with insulin resistance. You know, everyone's going around, my doctor said I'm insulin resistant. Oh, of course you are.
Because you're losing muscle.
You're over 40. Of course, that's no surprise. You're insulin resistant. Yeah, now let's get it back. You can get it back. Here's how to do it. But you said, Danny, you're hungry now that you're working out. Why? Well, your muscles are growing and they're saying, hey, I'm going to do what I need to now. I'm going to take in glucose. I'm opening up. I was closed before. But
And you know what you're training them to do? Be insulin sensitive again.
But with women that haven't been doing that, it can work differently. You see, when you've got all this glucose in your bloodstream that's not going into puny muscles because your muscles have shrunk. So they're like barely opening up like, I guess I'll take some blood sugar, but just a little bit. You know, they're just like, nah. So then you start to working them out and they're like, oh, I can open up. You know, I'm just bring it.
Yeah.
So the insulin, you know, starts getting pushed into the muscles. Well, guess what happens to women?
What happens?
You get more satisfied. You get fuller. Do you know when your muscles grow, it releases more GLP-1 into your system. So especially for women and women that have lost hormones, they actually can get more satisfied after a meal. And rather than wanting to snack all day on the sugars, yes, they'll want their good protein because the muscles like feed me, but it won't be this constant all day, I want sugar, you know, because they're not getting fed glucose. They finally are. It's out of their bloodstream into their muscles. And this is what reverses insulin resistance.
And we just teach you how, you know, a lot of the aches and pains that people get too.
Yeah.
Postmenopausal. Look how interested he is. Just looking for his name in the book.
I'm just seeing I'm looking for D's.
I'll find it.
But you know, a lot of that is estrogen because estrogen is so anti-inflammatory and we lose it in the peri and it's tanked in the postmenopausal. But the thing is that when you exercise, it actually secretes, you know, the anti-inflammatory interleukin 6, right?
Well,
it's actually
it doesn't
inflammatory,
secrete
but
it.
it becomes anti-inflammatory, but it comes into the muscle.
It doesn't secrete it. Or the IL-6
Yes.
that's hanging around your body causing inflammation.
Goes to the site of
Yeah.
inflammation, the muscle, yes. And then it comes out of the achy and pain area. So, and also it's our anti-aging organ. It secretes, that's what it secretes, myokines.
Yeah.
And that is an anti-aging substance.
I'm actually achy
It
and
supports your immune
painy.
system.
Oh, yeah.
You're achy and painy right now?
No. When I notice if I get to like day 3 of not working out,
Yeah.
it's like I'm just, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
working out takes, yes, you get sore muscles, yes, but it takes the inflammation out of your body, targets it to the muscles. It's people that have like arthritis and things, they find that when they start lifting weights, that inflammation recedes out of their body. And the muscles slurp it up. They're like, I'm inflamed here. So the IL-6 goes swoop into the muscle.
Okay, so there's
gets it out of the body.
That's interesting because I've always envisioned making good choices with your body like redirecting. So in other words, if I'm working out, instead of just like when before I started working out, I felt like up here was getting like flat and this was coming out and I was just kind of weak and my daughter was pushing me around like when we wrestled. My 13-year-old daughter, I'm like, girl, you're strong. You know, she's just like normal. But it's me that was weak. And, you know, and my cravings also were very kind of carby. I wanted like tortellini with white sauce and things like that. And it's like working out has caused, like, it's almost like a little cheat hack for trying to correct your diet. Like if you'll add the working out, it makes it so much easier for your brain to go, I'm really wanting protein. Where is the meat?
And you're creating more cupboards to stash food in.
Creating
You know,
cupboards.
like if you have hungry muscles, you can put more away.
It's like a kitchen
Yeah.
when your muscles, you know, are depleting after the age of 30, but especially like a runaway train after 40. It's like a kitchen without cupboard space. There's nowhere to put the food. Where is it going to go? It's going to go in the middle of the kitchen.
On the counter.
On the counter, which is
Yeah.
your bloodstream.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
Serene said, build some cupboards. They're your muscles. Then you got a clean kitchen.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Thank you,
genius.
Serena. I love the analogy.
What do you do?
She doesn't
each,
believe in fist pumping, but look at that. She
That
did it.
was worth a fist pump.
I know there's not a part of the book that's more important or more favorite,
Ooh.
but do you have something that really sticks out to you as a highlight of
Oh,
like?
Serena, are we boring you again? You're just going to get on your phone.
It was a special
yeah.
thing. It was a special
No,
thing.
you got to
I was
update
checking.
your Facebook.
No, I don't even have Facebook.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have 4 accounts, but I haven't checked them once.
Read a subreddit.
No, my husband did it just to annoy me because I don't do
Oh,
Facebook.
research maybe some health topic.
Yeah.
I'm not the one looking for
Is
my
there
name,
something
but-
in the book that it's your favorite
Yes,
part?
my favorite part is the secret chapter that's not there.
Yeah, that
What do
might
you
be mine
mean?
too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's there,
No,
We're not saying what
but
it
it's
is.
called the secret chapter
No.
that's not there.
Yeah.
it's called a secret chapter. What? We didn't actually name it secret chapter.
We said the bonus chapter that might
Bonus.
not be there.
Yeah. No, don't check it out, Dan.
It
doesn't
is called
exist.
something. It does have a name. It might be a little racy.
Yeah.
But
We had people here while we were doing the audiobook. They had to walk out.
I would say it's not detailed racy, but I'd say it is good Christian racy. It definitely a bit
It's
more edge.
song racy, you know.
Bit more than that. Well, we have to say certain words, not bad words, words you need to hear. Okay, enough of that. I would say apart from that bonus chapter that's not really there, I would have to say, hormone chapters. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
Not only do we go into, show everyone where they're at. Where are you in this hormone journey? So everyone knows exactly where they are. They can prepare for the future. They can see how I'm here on this timeline.
Right, which is so important.
Then we go into...
If you don't know where you are, you don't know how to get out of
Yeah.
that place.
Then we go into just a love affair with each of the hormones. So there's your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, your thyroid. Thyroid's such a biggie.
It's one of my faves.
And your DHEA. And then we go into the benefits of each. What happens when you lose each of those hormones? What happens when you bring it back? How to bring it back? How, if you can't join our hormone program when that fully launches, how to ask your own doctor.
And get insurance maybe to cover it.
to how to do it where you are. We launched this whole hormone program, but we know not all women can join that. So we've kind of brought practicality, how to do it on a shoestring. And if you, like we said before, if you can't do it or won't do it, then what to get super nerdy about.
Do you know another chapter I really love? It's Wisdom is Sour.
Yeah, that was, oh my goodness, that's a good chapter.
What does that mean?
love-
Wisdom is sour.
Well, we're not going to tell you, but
no.
Well, we're trying to talk about the book, so we can.
I'm just trying to tease people to come and get it and read it themselves one day.
When
No.
when is it available, by the way?
Are we allowed to say a date?
So it will go on pre-sale
Yeah, with pre-sale
mid-December.
in December. We're hoping mid-December, but at that point, if you buy into the pre-sale, you can get the audiobook and the digital straight away. You might have to wait a few weeks to get that in your mailbox because it's still being printed as we speak. But we're going to have bundles where you can buy all 3 together, or just 2, or just 1, or whatever you want.
So mid-December, it's on sale. They can buy it. It ships out that week. I mean, how?
Ship in January.
Okay. So we're not. This
So-
is not a Christmas present.
Oh, no, but you can get the digital and the audio and listen to that before Christmas, sure. And you can
Okay.
get all the free recipes before that.
And it's a
Okay.
backstage pass audio because we kind of we go off script. But
And we give more that's in
not
the book.
awfully.
Yeah.
Awfully. I do want to say,
Do you want us to just
I just
throw
want to
her
make
phone
sure
away?
it's Thanksgiving, people. Family's going to be coming in and want to know where Mama is.
When we
But
launch this,
are we
it's
going to
not
talk about this
Thanksgiving.
wisdom is sour? Or are we just going to, just entice them with it?
We're going to talk about wisdom is
Okay,
sour.
well, wisdom is sour is one of my favorite subjects. One of my favorite chapters on my favorite subject. I love everything sour. I'm a sour person.
But let's talk about why.
Well, the original reason is I love that taste. But people that don't love that taste will love the idea of adding sour to their diet. And there's ways of doing it where you don't have to get too twanged out. Because just like we were talking about before, how we need to get things out of the bloodstream and into the cupboards, into the muscle. Sour is a special agent, like in a special Sorry.
Name-
Take my phone.
Take her phone.
It's a special, like, what would be like one of those bodyguards, you know, or some special, what were the glasses you wore in today? You know,
FBI?
FBI, something that's
Special
going to
agent.
usher, a special agent that ushers things stealthily into the muscle cells.
Okay.
Even protein. People think, oh, yeah, so muscle is losing after 30 and like a freight train after 40. Boy, I've got to have my protein, which is so important. Yes. But oftentimes when your muscles have been allowed to become puny by not contending for them post 30 and post 40, they're too little. They're not a cupboard. They're like a crack. And you can hardly fit a crumb in there. And so we actually even become protein resistant, amino acid resistant, not just insulin resistant. And we have a hard time opening up for the protein we need. Sour helps us open
So
up
is a special agent
for
and,
sugar and for amino acids.
and Serene's recipe. We have a whole free course on sourdough that she's giving away. I do want to say something though with that. So many women have been done wrong, I think. We hear, and so many of us have heard now, well, okay, you're over 40, you need protein. And that's a big premise of this book, because we say wisdom is protein strong. And they just load up on this protein, and guess what happens to them? They gain weight, they thicken. And so many women, you know.
On protein?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's because this protein resistance thing that Serene says, you know, they need protein, but their muscles are so atrophied they can't take in the protein.
Okay.
And so they need these helpers. So we teach you actually how to take protein into your cells, where you're not just loading up with huge globs of it. You're being smart and you're getting it into the cells where they can become less insulin resistant. So we have all these ways to not only build your muscle, but you can't build muscle unless you clean it first. So we clean up your muscle. And this is not out there. This is something new. We've got these whole new terms, which we won't release yet, but you got to clean your muscle to build your muscle, especially with women. Men are a little different. They kind of keep this robust muscle around. Yes, they lose it, but not to the extent that we women do. And we have to clean it, and then we have to build it carefully, smartly, and wisely with protein, but with other few helpers.
Which you'll find out in the Wisdom is Sour. And the other thing
And the
is
Wisdom is
these
Plant Strong.
things, all this wisdom is, you know, paradigms and steps we've put in this book are so important, especially if you're not interested, even after reading, we wow you about all the hormones and how it's going to wow your body when you put it back in. But if you're not interested in hormones, you need to get this book still, because you need to know how to combat the loss, because insulin resistance and letting your muscle mass decline is why after menopause we get that sausage like middle section where we get littler legs, littler arms, but get more of a thicker middle.
Barrel.
Look like an overfed puppy.
Well, it's just the barrel tummy of postmenopause. And it happens to the woman trying the hardest. It happens to the woman, you know, exercising the normal way. And so these little hacks like Wisdom is Sour and Wisdom is Movement.
Wisdom is Plant Strong.
Which plants are the ones that help clean out the muscles, because a lot of women, their muscles are puny, but they've got striations of fat in them and they're all clogged up and they...
Yeah,
It's
so
not-
so we have this way. I mean, you know, I've done it. I never, after menopause, I never got like super overweight that anyone could tell. But for me, my weight distribution changed. I developed this little belly that was never there before, and my butt flattened. I lost my muscle,
And
so I was like skinny fat.
your little shoulders were getting littler and littler.
Yeah.
Your little arms were getting littler.
So
Were
I
you feeling brittle? Like
yeah,
I'm
I
a
was
little
feeling
brittle,
little
bird.
brittle, but still sort of skinny fat. You know, I changed all of that. I have my waistline back. I feel stronger. I stand stronger.
And guess what? Now she doesn't even have to do as many of the hacks. And now she has to eat crossovers to keep the right.
Yeah.
not get
My
too skinny.
calorie intake has just gone up. And
Yeah, you
up.
can, you know, once you kind of get your body in the groove,
Yeah.
you can, like I found kind of missing it for, I went out of town and did a project for like 7 days and did no working out.
Yeah.
And just ate what they had. I was fine. It's like I had
Yeah.
this baseline now that I could go
Yes.
off a little, not intentionally even, but just life. And I found that the next day in the gym was great.
Because you're a burner now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about becoming a burner.
Yeah, and I craved meat the whole time I
Yeah.
was there, even though I wasn't working out.
Yeah.
It's like this
Yeah.
new body
And
feels
we
good.
teach you in that book how to get this burning body,
Yeah.
which is the exciting part of this
You want to burn
menopausal passage, to have a burning body.
Because so many women get, consumed with the scale, especially as we enter these hard, tough menopausal situations.
Do you
whether
own a
it be-
scale?
Yeah, I do. But I'll tell you how I use
don't.
it.
I got rid of it.
And that's fine. A
Yeah.
lot of women should, but
Yep.
some women shouldn't. And we talk about if you should or if you shouldn't.
Yeah, like if
That's-
you're mental about it.
Yeah, but oftentimes I'll go into that. But, these perimenopause, and you just come to this hard place where you just like, you can't shift anything. So then you start looking at the scale like, did I go down a pound? Oh, yay. I just ate salads yesterday and I cut my calories and I went down a pound, or I skipped breakfast and I'm down a pound. Not knowing that pound is probably a lot of muscle. And then, I'm
Yeah.
going to do what I did yesterday.
Yeah, you get. Yep.
So then you do it again, and maybe you're following this way of eating that it's shift stubborn menopausal weight, and you're down 7 pounds. You think, yay, it's like the gold at the end of the rainbow, But you go get your body, under a DEXA scan. Most of what you've lost is probably lean body mass.
Right.
So
Because-
you start compounding the problem by believing that
Yeah.
you've lost a pound after
And it's like,
all.
that low carb day I had the other day, I'm down.
Yep.
Really, it's just dehydrated muscles
Yep,
because the
yep.
carbs usher in hydration into the muscles.
And then your
And so-
metabolism gets slower, and then you have to eat less, and then you have to skip
Right.
another meal. We're about
And you're left
teaching
in tanks
women.
when you don't have carbs, and then you get catabolic because you're in survival mode, so you're just eating up your muscles.
I mean,
Dude.
it takes a while, but we're about teaching women to get back to being this burner where they can eat again, where they can join their families and eat, where if they have a cheat meal, Danny, or go off for a little while because life happens,
Go
they're
on a
not
cruise with
gonna
their husband and have real
they're not gonna
tiramisu.
blow up.
Sure.
because they're a burner now. And it's not overnight, but it happens, and there's a way forward where you don't have to skip meals. You don't have to cut carbs. You just have to apply wisdom. And it's
Serena?
there, and we're just like excited.
Serene, did you say go on a cruise and have a tiramisu with their husband? I
Yeah.
mean, you've come a long way.
No,
She
I
won't.
wouldn't.
I will.
But I burn in
no,
other
to
ways.
say it.
Like
To say it has come a long
well,
way.
that is true. That is true. But we have done this long nerdy book so that women can have that piece of tiramisu. So
If they want.
if
they
they
don't
want.
have to.
No, I do it in other ways. Like I drink raw milk with honey and banana
Oh,
milkshakes.
what a
to keep-
treat. Raw milk with honey.
No, but I'm saying that would put weight on a postmenopausal
Yeah.
menopausal woman like a freight train.
You are the lady of the forest.
So what I'm saying, I don't crave that because I've never had it. I was
You don't
just
crave tiramisu?
no.
You've never had a tiramisu?
I've tasted hers like half a quarter
It
of a
does
teaspoon.
nothing for you?
She doesn't like sugar.
I
Her
don't.
brain doesn't
Nothing.
like
Oh,
does
but, okay. I guess yeah.
But
The sugar taste to you is like a chemical.
I can go and have these other really like fatty teenage foods that are healthy, and I won't gain weight on them.
Like pasta.
No, I mean like the raw milk honey banana smoothies. That's
Oh.
that's
we
as
say
dense
to
as you
women,
can get.
hey, probably when you're
butter thick on my
I pictured
sourdough
you just
bread.
squeezing honey and milk. I was like, what is this world?
We're just trying to say, Danny, that we want women to get to the place where they can be burners like we are now. Burners. Listen, it took me a couple years. We're not saying this is going to be overnight, but it happens. And when it happens, you're a different body.
Because you're free. You're not run by all of this fear of food and run by being the party pooper, like even if you don't feel it yourself, I think other people around you feel sad for you when you don't get to eat. We've had we've had intermittent fasters at our like baby showers and bridal showers and stuff.
Hitting this really hard.
And
It's
I
a
feel
pet peeve.
sorry for them, as the hostess, and you've made the food. You want
I
them
always
to
feel
enjoy.
sorry for people fasting.
And they just have their little solo cup with water in it.
I feel mean.
They're usually cold and in the corner.
I feel like I want to be mean to people when they fast.
I don't, because they're desperate.
Yeah,
and
I
they're-
love them.
I don't mean
they're
women
hurt.
when they're losing weight. I
feel
mean
so.
pastors.
You want to be mean to all pastors. We'll pray for him later. He has
I'm
a little bit of
fasting.
Our
therapy. to
dad
do
is a
with it.
pastor.
Why are you fasting,
Spiritual
pastor?
fasting, I have no problem
Yeah.
with. If they want to do that, if anyone wants to do that, we say, hey, you're covered. This is not about spiritual fasting, this book.
No.
We have a whole chapter, and we bring the science
Spiritual fasting can
of
be great.
why this is just
I'm fasting
about
for my congregation.
think again.
Hey, our
If
dad
you
was
But
a-
God's talking to me right now, so just
Hey, our
Give me
dad
a
was,
moment.
he'd do heaps of 40-day fasts. And
Who?
it wasn't our dad.
he could
Fasting
fast
is
for
fast-
40 days.
Yeah, he
Oh,
has.
yeah. And it's all just for things that he wants in our
Well,
family.
he's one of the
like
few
God
I
to
trust
break through
with my
or
whole
whatever.
life. That's different.
Yeah, so there.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to ask you a question. What is the hormone heart cry?
That's the desperate woman. That's their sound.
And that was my sound and
Yeah.
yours.
I was so desperate. Yes.
The hormone heart cry. And you know what? I think the hormone heart cry
Hey,
has been
would you
happening.
say what your hormone heart cry was? And I'll tell you what mine was.
My
Yeah,
hormone
please
heart
do.
cry was that I felt like I had started to live in a body that was not the one I knew for close to 50 years. And that it
And
had
say some of
betrayed
your
me. And
struggles.
well, this doesn't happen to every woman, but the lack of hormones really, really impacted me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I woke up with these hot flashes every hour and a half, and not only were they hot, then they would chill me, and then my whole body would be flooded
So
with
you
like
felt like you
water.
were having fevers every night.
Yeah,
and, then
and it
cold
wasn't
and
just, 25% of women don't even get hot flashes. They're just different. But I got them all around the day and then all night. And then they turn into chills. And with them came this anxious feeling, like it would start in my face. And I'm not an anxious person. And it would be, my body was literally freaking out. And I'll be like, every anxious thought in the world. I wake up at night and then I couldn't sleep. And, and then just when you're like moving back into a sleep, then another one would happen. And so because of that, my adrenals started to get shot because I wasn't sleeping. And then, as I said, the metabolic things started happening. My A1C shot up, same kind of diet. My moods were flat. I mean, I looked at the world differently. I was still reasonably happy because I had
she
my
was positive
mindset.
Pearl because of your mindset, but not as a natural instinct.
Sex drive, physical sex drive gone. Mentally, I still love being married and I love that intimacy. Physical gone. A totally different body.
Yeah, she told me one day, I don't even know why people do that.
Yeah, it was like almost like you're a child. Like, when you're a child, you think, why
That's a circus
do
act.
women and men do that?
it
That's
does.
yucky.
If the interest is gone, it is a circus act. That's so perfect.
And then when your hormones come back, I'm a female woman again, and my body just acts like it should, and it's just so peaceful. Yeah, so that I think that was my cry. And then that was, what was your hormone heart cry?
Well, my hormones were dwindling because I had those miscarriages. I couldn't keep babies anymore. And then I was like, well, who am I? I was always the mum and the pregnant and the nursing mum. And that's just who I was. And I know I'm a daughter of God. I had that identity down. So don't get me a counseling couch and special, pray over me, put your hanky over me. I really knew who I was. But I meant as my earth tent. What was I about with my earth tent? What was I? And it was all about having the babies. And all of a sudden, I wasn't having them anymore. I'm like, well, what? I don't want to be the old lady in the house. I don't even do babies anymore. I'm like the old lady that's all dried up like that. So for me, it was like, well, and then I just felt like my body wasn't responding as much to exercise and things like that. I felt little creaks in my ankles, and then my skin felt a little more dry. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm wizening up now. So now my identity, though, after getting on the hormones, is now I feel flourishing. I feel young. I feel like I have something to bring to my family. I feel strong. I feel like I can. There's years to come with grandchildren where I'm going to have vim and vigor, but as far as my identity, I feel like the bride again. I feel beautiful to my husband. I don't care about that, but I just feel like I was having the identity as the mother before, but now I have the identity back as the bride. And I feel like our season is for our marriage now, and our season is for intimacy and for strength in just the season of marriage that we've gone through all this beautiful life together, raising our children. I feel like now is a time for romance once again. But I didn't have that when the hormones were dwindling. I had just a dwindling kind of this was going to close too. Like the mother season was closing, and then that bride season was closing, and then I'm just a little old knitter. of doilies.
I see this
Gonna knit some
horror
doilies.
image. I see the horror movie that plays through your
Yeah.
head of what
So I
might
have this
be.
great identity. Besides from my spiritual identity in Christ, I'm anchored there, yes. But I have this identity now in my home. I am bride again. I am the romancer of the husband. I am the vital, vibrant, sexy woman in the house.
Nice.
I
Trim
love
Healthy
it.
Wisdom, people. On sale mid-December. Where at? trimhealthywebsite.com?
Yeah, it's not going to be on Amazon at first. In the first 3 months, we're keeping it on our website. It's just this little plan. It'll be available outside of that after some time.
Okay, so store.trimhealthymama.com.
Yeah, all of that.
Or just search it up. And then eventually on Amazon, maybe.
Do you know, I want to say something last thing before about this hormone heart cry, though. I think for years, women didn't really talk about what happened to their hormones, and it was very hush-hush. You know, most women, especially Christian women, didn't. I do think in the last 5 years, it's come to the surface a lot more. People are actually acknowledging what women go through, and hey, all that stuff we were told about how hormones, may give you cancer. Okay, so now it's understood that was not correct. It's actually the other way. Hormones protect against cancers. So I think the word is getting out. I think this book is coming at a time when the climate is right to talk about it anyway. But I think there is a lot of the voices are coming from just different sides of the argument. You know, we're coming at it a little differently. I think for Serena and I, where we live and the way we look at it is we're coming at this for the health of a family. Like Serena said, you can't have a healthy family unless you feel like a healthy wife. And you got to kind of put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you can help the others. And Serena and I feel masked up right now, so we're bringing that to our women, to those who trust us, put their trust in us, because there's so many voices out there on this particular subject, and I know I was confused too. And so we just want to bring as truthful and as wise a voice as we can on this wisdom subject, because there's a lot of stuff being spoken about it too, on the hormones and what is a woman's life in those next 50 years after her first. What should that look like? Should we... There's kind of two voices, and one is, well, who cares about all that vanity stuff? Embrace your age, It's actually called The Crow. There's a part to a woman's life where she's the crow, and she should be proud of being wizened up and having no hormones, and that's her role. And then the other voice is like, well, no, I want to embalm 20. I want to feel like 20. I'm all about this.
And that's not what I was talking about.
No,
before.
you're not.
No.
I think we're tried to come in and find the wisdom in all of that, where hormones are just such a beautiful, fantastic aging tool. We don't want to be younger than our age. We want to embrace our age and all that comes with it.
We just want to keep the sap in our bones and keep
Yeah.
the sap in our muscles, keep the sap in our emotions and in our minds. Oftentimes, you were saying before about how it's the premenopausal woman having the premenstrual syndrome. I don't know how you were
Raging
saying it.
hormones.
The raging. That's what you're saying. Raging
I
hormones.
heard that said when I was younger.
Right. And we were talking about how that's actually when it's their tanking hormones, because to have a cycle, all of those hormones have to be kind of pulled out to let the uterine, wall bleed. And so there's that
Uterine wall.
tanking of the hormones. But just think, a woman feels kind of insane in that time. Most women, that's when you're like, oh, she must be on a period. Like, that's her low time. But imagine a late menopausal woman constantly feeling like that. It's not just hard for those around her. She has the one living in her head. So it's even the sap in her mind and her brain and her mental. It really affects the mental place. Really, really does. And so I'm really, really excited for people to just hear more about hormones and get the fear out so they can make a wise decision without fear involved. There's a lot of fear mongering about hormones, but living in that constant state where it's raging non-hormones, it's not fun.
Love it.
I thought we were doing a moment of silence, just like rest. Oh yeah, Nate's gonna
Nate.
pitch. Here, sit
What's
in
he
my
gonna
thing.
pitch?
Nate.
Come sit here, Pearl, in case you want to.
Okay, so, can you give me the book? So I've read through this thing,
Yes.
You read that book?
He was our
Yes.
proofreader.
You read the book.
I read this book, and then we just finished the audio.
And he sat there rereading it with us in case we missed a line.
So I have to say this book is insane, like insanely amazing. The work that Pearl and Serena have put into it. So really, if there's one thing I can say is that, so Trim Healthy Mama came out just over a decade ago. And you both have been building that foundation. And of course, cookbooks have come out, other things have come out, you know. But if there's a true sequel to Trim Healthy Mama, it's Trim Healthy Wisdom. So this book builds on the foundation really of 10 years. But the thing is you all had wisdom from the Holy Spirit. I believe, you know, I that's what I believe is the Lord gave you that wisdom, right? And you built this foundation. And now with Trim Healthy Wisdom coming out, you are building upon that foundation. And I just really believe this is going to impact so many women's lives. So that's the first thing. I actually have several really, there's a lot of awesome chapters, even for a dude in this book. So, the 10 gut gifts, wisdom is sour, all the movement chapters, Pearl, even though it kind of bored me a little bit, the hacks that you have for postmenopausal women in the unnamed section the wisdom section that you talk about, all of the hacks, you just get down into the weeds. You get so practical, you know, how can they apply it in their lives today? And I just think it's incredible. And then let me make a quick pitch. So December 16th, it's going to be the pre-sale goes live. You'll be able to get the ebook right away and the audiobook right away. So let me make a quick pitch for the audiobook. So there's people that love the potty just as it is, okay? And it's awesome, right? And then some people are like, "Oh, Pearl, Serene, could you just stay a little more focused?" Okay?
No.
And of course, they will never give to the haters, okay? They're never going to give to the haters. But I do want to say the audiobook is basically like a 75-hour podcast. Okay? Yes. It's an amazing podcast where
Pearl's thinking you're trying to not sell the book.
No, listen, hold on. So people's lives are busy, right? You want to be able to put an hour on while you're in your commute or whatever it is. But the amount of content that they hit that you can just take bite size, and maybe you go and you find a section that you love and then you want to listen to a section and it helps you process. But the amount of incredible content, but there's also some entertainment in it too, in the audiobook. It's incredible. So anyway, so that's my pitch. Having read it and now listen to it live, go get Trim Healthy Wisdom. All right, that's it.
Oh, thanks,